Pre-election violence in Senegal has the entire African continent standing at attention. At least 6 killed in recent days as protesters defy a ban on demonstrations ahead of a first round that could see 85-year-old Abdoulaye Wade win another 7-year term. A constitutional court, handpicked by the incumbent, ruled that a new amendment on term limits does not apply retroactively. Wade's determination to seek a third term sparking criticism from Paris and Washington. Washington, which not too long ago sent 2 U.S. presidents to visit a nation lauded as an African success story. Wade gaining power by the ballot box when he unseated a party that had been in office since independence in 1960. 12 years on, what is the situation? Africans are all too familiar with politicians whose democratic values somehow waver once in office. But is it all Wade's fault? We're going to ask why a nation with growing economic aspirations and a vibrant youth also has a badly splintered opposition. Today, in the France 24 debate, the trouble with Senegal, and here to talk about it with us, Doudou Sidibé, head of Abdoulaye Wade's campaign in France. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Also with us, Amadou Gueye of the Socialist Senegalese Party. Thank you for being with us. From New York City, Mamadou Diouf. He heads the Institute for African Studies at Columbia University. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And Douglas Yates, who teaches political science at the American Graduate School. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for weighing in on the conversation on the France 24 debate Facebook page and on Twitter, where you can catch us at François F24. When he won that election in 2000 we were mentioning, Abdoulaye Wade's supporters hailed him as the Pope of Sopi, change in Wolof. 12 years on, the man who was once one of Africa's emblematic opposition leaders is arguing for continuity.
Some power-hungry citizens, without any grassroots support, knowing they have no chance of winning a peaceful and democratic election, have decided to use twisted strategies to prevent me from being a candidate.
All right, that's Abdoulaye Wade's take on the pre-electoral violence. Mamadou Diouf, how do you explain this rising tension?
This rising tension is explained by one simple fact. According to the Constitution he has himself promoted, the incumbent president is not allowed to run for a third term. So what is happening today is Senegalese, part of the Senegalese population is reacting against his presence. They don't have another choice but demonstration which has been actually faced by police repression. The result is one of the most stable countries in West Africa is being in trouble.
On that score, we mentioned at the outset the difference between the Constitutional Court, which says that the term limits are not retroactive, but there is the question of these demonstrations of why they're being prevented, why they're being banned. Why is that?
I think that the opposition must accept the decision of the Constitutional Court. When Abdoulaye Wade changed the constitution, voted a new constitution, he started a new term, and this term was not counted as a term, And there is a difference of interpretation. Some interpreted that we can count it, others do not, and we have the Constitutional Court to arbitrate, And this court said that Abdoulaye Wade can be a candidate, and the opposition must accept this fact and go to the election.
But by banning demonstrations, is that not stoking the tension?
No, banning demonstration because they wanted to do demonstration near the palais and where Abdoulaye Wade lives. And they say that they come and take him to the street, and it's not normal. That is why Abdoulaye Wade, for his security, he said that you cannot do that. But if you go a little bit far from there, you can demonstrate, because demonstration is put in the constitution by Abdoulaye Wade without authorization. Formerly, you ask for authorization. Now, you just say that I'm going to demonstrate, and you be framed by the policeman.
Amadou Gueye, do you agree?
Let me put it simply for people who are not very put in Senegalese politics. It's like Jacques Chirac with 10 years more of age coming in front of the French people and telling them, I've done a 5-year term and I've done a 7-year term. Now, let's get it back. I need a third term because in the way we change the time of the president's term. It's not logical. I can understand President Wade saying, I need more years to finish what I've begun. But we're in democracy. When you change rules, there's a name for that.
All right, so disagreement then over whether or not the rule was retroactive. Yeah. There is also the issue that there have been constitutional issues that have brewed leading up to this. Last year, Wade forced to back down on a constitutional reform that would have enabled him to win in the first round with just 25% of the vote and created a vice president's post. Douglas Yates, at that point, already there was these accusations that Wade was trying to hang on to power.
There was a fear that he was going to attempt to install his son, Karim, as vice president. As you know, Wade is very old, officially 86, but we don't actually know how old he is. But he's an old man. He could die over the course of another mandate. And if he was able to place his son, Karim, as vice president, that would mean that his son would succeed him to power. It's sad because Wade had been someone who came to power really as a Democrat. I remember in 2000 going to Senegal, and he was something of a hero at that time. And the usure of pouvoir, that is the sort of the corruption that comes with holding power, appears to have given him a temptation to build large statues and to install his family in power.
Mamadou Diouf, are you surprised at the way things have turned?
No, I'm not surprised because it's precisely the problem how Wade is trying not only to hold to power, but how he's also trying actually to create the favorable circumstances for his son to replace him. I have heard the representative of PDS say something which shows actually why Senegalese are rioting and fighting against Wade. It seems as if the Senegalese constitution, is Wade's property. He owns it. He can do whatever he wants. It also seems as if Wade is the owner of the palace, that people should not go near the palace because he is inside. If he feels insecure, it's probably an indication that he knows quite clearly that the Senegalese are against him running for a third term. And by the way, the interpretation of the Constitution about this third term is quite interesting. The only Senegalese lawyer who is the first Senegalese to get an aggregation in law, constitutional law, said clearly that the Senegalese jurisprudence is based on the fact that every time that a constitutional amendment is adopted, the amendment is automatically implemented. So the Senegalese rule is a rule which does not accept this discussion about retroactivity. Lastly, Wade himself said that he decided to turn his back to his own word. But he has said that. So the result is people are saying no election without Wade. And this is what is happening and creating this huge upheaval. And it's very sad, actually, that a man who has done so much for the consolidation of Senegalese democracy, who has done a lot of things also in, improving the Senegalese infrastructure, in embellishing the Senegalese capital city, even if I'm against this very ugly statute he put in Dakar, this man is destroying the basis of what could have made him an important actor of Senegalese history. I don't deny that he has done things, great things, but today the issue is not about him doing anything. It's a simple issue. We have a constitution,
and he's not respecting it.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, a couple of things that you mentioned there, Mamadou Diouf. Dakar, if people haven't been in a long time, is a place that has changed. There's a lot more electricity, there's a lot more lights. Mamadou Diouf, though, mentioning what he called that ugly statue, which is the African Renaissance monument. It was inaugurated in 2010 to celebrate the nation's half-century, and you can see images of it there, at a cost of $26 million. Did you sense at the time the criticism that perhaps Wade was losing touch a little bit with popular sentiment?
What people forget is this statue brings money, like the Tour Eiffel. It is not just a statue to look at and smile. It is for money, because there is some rooms of conference. There is some museum inside, and people can come from everywhere and visit it and pay money. And all around this statue, there will be hotels for tourists. It is built for the economy, to empower the economy, to give jobs to some Senegalese, in my opinion.
All right. Do you agree with that opinion?
No. In terms of artistic value, this statue is a real disgrace. There's nothing in this statue that talks to a Senegalese. Nothing. Nothing in this statue.
On the wider point, though, as well, of the economy, the what has happened the last 12 years.
We'll have to stay like 400 years to get back the money Abdoulaye Wade wasted in this statue. There's no money coming in for this statue. You know it. And it's a disgrace to us to get this money here in this bronze statue. What about the other parts of the country where you spend like 6 hours to do 20 kilometers in a bus? What about the people with their products, agriculture products?
I'm sorry, but he built many roads
who's
in Senegal.
Who's rotting in the sun because they don't have roads to carry it to the market. What about the fish rotting on the roads? Without
Abdoulaye Wade did most, because there is a lot of road now, meaning autoroute of péage, as we can say.
Have you been in the Île Amor field? Have you been in Casamance, where people spend 6 hours doing 20 kilometers? And you talk about roads. Dakar is not Senegal.
It is
Touba is not Senegal.
All right, step by step,
yes.
We see there has been improvements in infrastructure. Is the glass half full or half empty when it comes to development?
Well, I think that things were going better before 2008. And if there hadn't been a world financial crisis, probably the results would have been more positive. But what's happened, like in many countries, Greece, Spain, France, the United States, is that the world economic crisis has caused an increase in the price of basic commodities. And combined with an IMF austerity plan with the Washington Consensus, it means that poor people have been put, under the grill. And the person who has to place his face on all of that is Abdoulaye Wade. So I think probably the world economic crisis is more to blame than actually the government's failure on its own initiative.
I completely disagree with what you have said. The world economic crisis has an impact. But have you seen the cost of the improvement of infrastructure of Senegal? Have you seen the corruption? I'm sorry. Have you seen this crazy inequality this country has been experiencing since 2000? Have you seen? Because it's about allocation of scarce resources. You cannot say what you have said about as if what has been governing his governance system was a rational, stable, and accountable governance system. Today, the problem. No Senegalese is saying that Wade has not done something. No Senegalese is saying that for a country which is producing peanuts, the crisis has an impact on that. What Senegalese today are denouncing and writing against is not only about the respect of the Constitution. It's not only against what putting his son, second element, but it's also about the corruption.
Mamadou Diouf, though, there's the broader issue of opposition leaders who struggle in the name of democracy, but once in office, hang on, like Kenya's Moi Kibaki, whose disputed re-election in 2007 sparked ethnic massacres, and Laurent Gbagbo in Ivory Coast, whose refusal to accept the UN-sanctioned result of 2010 reignited civil war. Is it harder, more broadly, in Africa to leave than it is elsewhere in the world?
Absolutely, and you know, and the reasons are known. The problem we are facing today is the way we elect our presidents. We have to find another way of electing them by coming up with institutions which will allow probably to have a political system in which, representative bodies are playing a more important role than the president. The problem we have is we have very powerful presidents who are not accountable and who are able actually to manipulate the institutions which are supposed to actually monitor their action. This is the first problem. The second problem is it's not only about what. We need also to democratize, the oppositions. You have the same problem. The opposition is led by the same people for these last 30 years. They have also to create a kind of a democratic system within their parties. And this is something which is important. And the third thing is to find mechanism to actually help the transition from one generation to another, and the presence of women in our system. Today, actually, Senegal is facing a crisis which could be, I hope, an opportunity to push out of the public space a generation who has been there, some of them since independence.
All right, so the need for more representativity. We're going to pick up on this point and why the opposition is so splintered when we come back here in the France 24 debate.
Watch France 24 live and free on your mobile phone. Anywhere in the world, on almost any cell phone, whatever your provider. Watch France 24 live and in 3 languages. France 24 on your mobile phone. Just visit our website, france24.com, and click on mobile. Select your phone brand, enter your phone number, and you'll receive a free SMS telling you how to install our player. You can watch France 24 live and get the latest world news for free on your mobile.